Let me get closer because it's definitely 4:30 in the evening and the light is gone, or it's on its way down. Melanated! Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Morning Tea. Today's tea is iced jasmine cream tea. It is so delicious. And as always, it's from the Mountain Witch Tea Company. You know what? I should write them and tell them that I endorse their tea on YouTube at least once a week, right? Or at least 3 times a month. Maybe they'll send it to me for free. But girl, I don't care. I'll buy it. It's so good. Okay. Oh my God, there's so much happening today. So let's jump into this. All right. So first things first, what happened today is that Sheen, the actor Charlie Sheen, announced that he was HIV positive and that he's been HIV positive for about 4 years, since about 2011. He had an exclusive interview this morning on the Today Show with Matt Lauer, and I'm like, bravo. Bravo to Charlie Sheen for, coming out, because I think the more people that come out and acknowledge that they have this illness, the less stigma this illness will have. And I know that, you know, when it first came out, when we first heard about it, it was like this seedy, dirty sort of illness. But you know what? It happens. Like, there are sexually transmitted diseases, and HIV happens to be one of them. And it is something that, because of technology and time, it's something that's totally manageable if you catch it early. If you're somebody who is sexually active and you go to the doctor and get tested and catch it early, you can live with it, you can survive, you can be healthy, and you cannot pass it on to someone else. Just do yourselves a favor. If you're somebody that's sexually active, and especially if you're somebody that doesn't use protection, you should go and get tested every 6 months, every 3 months, depending on your activity, just so that you are aware of what's happening in your body. Charlie Sheen had to come forward, however. He couldn't keep it private because some of the people that he told tried to blackmail him and extort money from him, which is horrible. And I actually feel bad for him on that front, because people are just so tacky. It's just so tacky to me. All right. So the next thing that's happened in this world is obviously the bombing in France. But there was also a bombing in Beirut and Baghdad a couple days before France that didn't really get any media coverage. And something that I find very interesting is I had a friend once who lived in New York City. She's born and raised in New York City, and she was there for 9/11. And whenever I was talking to her about, you know, the attacks, 9/11 and bombing, and I was talking to her just about like how, yes, 9/11 was terrifying because it was an outside terrorist group that came in and attacked innocent, American citizens. However, like, we've had bombings in this state, in this country before, and we've had acts of terror in this country before that has not come from the outside. It's very much come from the inside. The act of terrorism, Oklahoma City bombing, any sort of terrorism where someone goes into a movie theater, a school, or whatever and starts shooting up, the terrorism that Black people face on a daily basis here in this country since they were first brought here. So there have been acts of terrorism that has happened here. And she responded to me with, well, they're used to it. That, like, for some reason, when bombs go off in the Middle East, that those people are somehow used to it. And so there's this idea that Middle Eastern people aren't people like you and I, that they don't just want to live their lives peacefully and practice their religion the way Christians get to practice their religion in this country. There's this idea that for some reason that Muslim people are just extreme and like really devout in a very extreme, negative, angry way. And that's just not true. As you know, in other morning teas where I've talked about Muslim people, how there are like 1 billion of them and only 30,000 of them are extremists. And those 30,000, for whatever reason, get to represent Muslim people throughout the world. And that sucks. So that when things like, bombings in Baghdad and bombings in Beirut happen, and people die, and people are just minding their own business, trying to live their lives, that the Western world seemingly doesn't care, won't cover it, because we have this idea in our head that for some reason Middle Eastern people are just used to bombs and like that's their life, and so it's not a big deal. But it is a big deal. So, you know, I mean, it's not your fault that you don't get the news the way that the rest of the world gets the news. And so you may not have known about these bombings, but I just want to let you know that while you're, you know, putting out your prayers and your sentiments towards France, which definitely was a terrible thing that happened. And, you know, they bombed at the same time in multiple locations in France, and a lot of people were hurt. I think it was something like 128 people died, and like 99 people are fatally, or not, 99 people are like very, very wounded, and then about 354 people are wounded. So it affected a lot of people, and I'm sure has Paris very shook up. But while you're sending your prayers to France, please send your prayers out to Beirut and Baghdad to help and heal with those people there in the Middle East, you know, because they deserve our attention as well. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about is Mizzou. So the protesters, the black college students in Missouri, are literally doing their damn thing. Like they are protesting their racist ass university. Actually, Tim Wolf, who is the university president, stepped down recently. Because he has not been handling the racial tensions very well at all in Missouri. I'm getting my information from slate.com, so if you want a more comprehensive rundown or a timeline of what's been happening at Mizzou, then check slate.com check slate.com to get all that information. Concerned Student 1950 and their group on campus that has really been doing the most and trying to keep the protests going and to keep the lines of communication open with Tim Wolf, who is the president. And several times students tried to talk to him, and he never really handled the issue. He swept it under the rug. He wasn't doing what he needed to do to really solve racial tensions at Mizzou. And there was some really horrific things that happened, especially in February earlier this year, because of Black History Month and because of the protesting. You had a lot of racist things happening on campus, and just Tim Wolf not doing what he needed to do. And finally, there was a football player his last name is Butler. He decided that he was going to go on a hunger strike until Tim Wolf left. And you know, I don't know where you guys are living, but I've been told that college football and football in general is really big in the South and in like the Midwest. And so one of the football players said that he was going to go on a hunger strike until Tim Wolf was no longer at the school or resigned, because he just wasn't doing what he needed to be doing for his students. And the campus was still a very racially charged campus. And finally, the governor had to step in, and a lot of there was I think a House representative person stepped in and was like, you know, something needs to happen. And Tim Wolf finally stepped down. So that is something that's good that has happened. For all these brave protesters, peaceful protesters at the University of Missouri, I applaud you and your good works and fighting the power, and bravo to you. So that's something that was actually like really uplifting for the movement, and I wish them the best of luck. So the last thing I want to talk about today is James Wright. I get so excited when I see bloggers, fellow YouTube bloggers or Facebook bloggers doing well. And so I know you guys heard about Patti LaBelle pie, right? You guys saw that video of James Wright singing the Patti LaBelle praises for the Patti LaBelle pie he put out on Thursday. And it was actually a really funny video. And after I watched the video, I wanted to go out and get me a pie, but I never made it to Walmart. And apparently Walmart is all sold out. Apparently because of James Wright and his video that went viral, I think 18 million views it got, or no, 8 million views it got, that people were buying the pies off the shelf. Something like people were buying one pie per second or something like that, just snatching them off the shelf. I think it did 2.3 million over the weekend in sales for the Patti LaBelle pie because of James Wright. So, I read that he got a call from Patti LaBelle and that he's actually getting calls from other celebrities and brands wanting him to endorse their product. And bravo for him. I hope he can make something out of this. I don't necessarily know that it was very spontaneous video, right? So it's not like anything else that he starts to review is probably gonna feel a little bit contrite, because this one felt very natural. But Walmart has actually run out of the pies, and they said they were going to need something like 2 million pounds of sweet potatoes in order to remake the pies and restock them for Thanksgiving. They actually ran out of their entire stock that they had for the holidays. So that's actually quite exciting, and I'm really happy for James. Okay, guys, that's it for this day's episode of Morning Tea. That's it for Morning Tea for tonight or today or this evening. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below. If you would like to add to the conversation, please leave them down below. I will have some links in the description bar for you to check out any of the information that I have talked about in this video. And I wish you a happy Wednesday. Today's actually Tuesday, but by the time you'll see this, it'll probably be Wednesday. Okay, thanks guys. Bye. Yes, girl. Yes. Oh, I also want to say, please excuse my bedding. I'm in transition, so I will have better bedding up the next time I do a morning tea. Okay.